The hottest spot north of Havana, at the Copacabana. Music and passion were always the fashion at the Copa. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank for another round of comic chat. And we've got 3 books in our crusade to sort of get caught up after a little vacation we took. But anyway, we're going to get into it with The Dark Knights of Steel, issue 11. This is the penultimate issue of a story that I think would be better received if it updated more consistently. Like, if it came out month to month, I think this would be a really great story. But half the time, I found myself forgetting about it. And, well, let's go into it. So, here we've got our advisors to the crown, Constantine for the Kingdom of Storms, Lois Lane for Themyscira, Harley for the House of L, everything sort of sets up, and they're like, well, we have totally screwed the pooch. And now, to be clear, only Constantine has screwed the pooch, because prophecy, it's pretty much what led to all of this happening. And, they're like, well, let's all resolve to do better. And I think Lois and Harley are like, well, we did fine. Then we have this scene between Bruce and Cal, and where pretty much Bruce says, hey, so it turns out, you and I are brothers. They reveal this, he talks about, hey, what's going on here, and they sort of like, hey, embrace, like, dude, you're always my brother. There we go. So that's nice. Does that mean that Cal doesn't care about inheriting the throne? Because, it turns out Jor-El wanted Bruce to inherit the throne, but okay, whatever, sure. Then it turns out that Bruce talks about, hey, so they got this kryptonite, this green stone that can be used to kill you, and they're fashioning into weapons. I know because I was thinking of doing that. So they sort of go from there. They talk about whether or not they can trust Alfred after reveal that he is John Jones, aka Martian Manhunter. And I think that's an interesting story in itself, because he's being held in the dungeon, suspended by the lasso of truth, and he's visited by the lead White Martian. And he's like, yeah, so why didn't you join us? It's pretty much a conversation like, hey, dude, you could have joined us, you sided with the humans, and whatnot. It's like, y'all crazy, that's why. We do not have to take over the planet and whatnot. And, like, the reveal of his story, of Alfred's story, or how John Jones became Alfred, and, what happened on Mars, that was interesting to be sure, but at the same time, we're trying to see where this story is going to go. Like, who's going to not be here at the end of it? And I feel like maybe the Martian reveal should have happened an issue earlier to sort of help flesh things out a bit more, because, again, this is the penultimate issue. So anyway, the whole conversation is interrupted by Bruce and Clark, primarily because John was connecting his mind to Bruce's so he could hear as well as anyone else. So that way proves his innocence, because bound by lasso of truth, he can't lie. And they know what's going on. So now they go the extra mile. Okay, so they're weak to fire. I want every torch, every bonfire lit here. If you don't have a torch when you walk out in the street, we can't trust you. So they go through there. That's the whole plan. All 3 kingdoms do this. It's great. And this whole sort of agreement to work together and turn all these castles into like a bigger fortress for the oncoming invasion, I think works well. Even more so, Bruce's sort of realization that, hey, since I have superpowers, since I'm one of these undesirables, I probably should have these other ones in prison. And it's a fun little conversation between Bruce and Alfred, sort of the idea that, hey, I don't care that you are a Martian, were a Martian, took over Alfred's life after he died. It doesn't matter. All right? What matters is you're here and I love you. And so Harley and Bruce are like, hey, we're going to let these people out, except Calendar Man, because he's insane and a murderer. And even Cal forgives Green Arrow, like, hey, look, you killed my dad, sure, but you did it because you thought you were doing the right thing and you were given bad advice, alright? So, it's weird, but it works. Waller she doesn't sit well with the fact that, they're working with the Kingdom of Storms and the Amazon. Look, they launched a war against us because of White Martian interference, and now here we are joining against the White Martians. You don't quite get where Waller's going with here. Like, they fought us because they were betrayed, because, they were given bad information. by White Martians. Because we're all been manipulated by the White Martians. You're like, no, we can't work with the Kingdom of Storm. I'm like, what is wrong with Waller? You know what's wrong with Waller. So anyway, the Queen takes Kara. Is it Kara? Kara and Cal down to where the ship was, and they make a Phantom Zone projector. I'm like, okay, this will be a great way to end it. Or is Zod going to come out of there at the end of this, starting a part 2 for Dark Knights of Steel? That would be interesting. But anyway, so the story ends pretty much with the White Martians being meted by, turns out, their ally, Amanda Waller. Because of course she is. I just hate that. Turns out she's been working with White Martians the whole time. And I'm like, God damn it, Amanda Waller, why is there nothing good about you? Like, every time I want to like you, Amanda Waller, you do something like this. This is how the comic ends. So, ultimately, this is alright. But like I said, had the story come out more consistently, I think I would be more excited about it, and had it had one more issue, because this is more like the lull before it happens. This could have been an annual issue, and then issue 11 sets up a bit more. I mean, unless issue 12 is going to have more pages, I don't see this ending being that satisfactory, unless the whole result is the good guys die, we go full Game of Thrones. Like, no, we're done goofed. And as is Game of Thrones tradition, we goof, we die. You know, there's no Deus Ex here. I don't know. I think it would have been nice to see Diana, and I'm going to call her Supergirl, so I don't remember what her name is in this one. I think it's still Kara. I don't think it is. But I think that would have been nice. I think the question of succession, like Bruce meeting Laura, I think would have been interesting too, since Bruce was the last one to see Jor-El alive. So I think that would have been fun too. Constantine apologizing to everybody for his colossal screw-up. That would have been great. Again, this world is interesting, but this story just doesn't quite do it. I don't know. Next we have... Oh no, what are you doing there? Doctor Strange issue 3. So this came out and I missed it, so it was a bit weird. And luckily this story isn't that amazing in terms of like progressing a story, but it is kind of fun. So as you recall, when we last left off with this, a horrible warlord from another dimension was murdered, and we heard him say Strange. But anyway, everyone's trying to figure out who murdered him. But our story starts off actually down in old Yonkers, where our resident, I guess, chump of the week, he looks like a nice guy, you know, he's getting a promotion. He's been waiting a long time for this. So, you know, he kisses his wife, you know, says goodbye to his kids. Like, this is a big day for him, so we're all set. Meanwhile, Wong and the inventions and the other members of WAND, which is the magical version of S.H.I.E.L.D., tell Strange and Clea that, hey, that warlord you guys didn't like, yeah, he's dead. He's dead. And Clea's like, so why is this a problem? He was a savage, he was a warlord, he was a slaver, and they put back, well, you see, this creates what's called a power vacuum. And as much as we didn't like that guy, there's a good chance something worse will happen, someone worse will take his place, or we'll just see endless fighting and more people dying. This is why people like Wilson Fisk and the Penguin are kept alive, because they regulate crime. Alright? It's an ugly thing that we have to keep crime bosses out here, but without them we would see a chaotic criminal element. Which doesn't really quite matter in Gotham City, because the Penguin can only do so much against people that don't really want to make money, they just want to burn things up. So anyway, so this sort of part like, yeah, we've got a theory as to who did it, and Clee's like, oh, we're just going out there, and Strange's like, look, I'd like to continue this, but I have a lot to do today, so unless we're gonna go forward with this, I think it's best we just sort of end it. And Wong goes, oh, that's right, it is Parlay Day, and so he goes off, and Clee goes, so, anything you want to ask me? I was like, should I? Oh, you think I thought you did? He's like, did you? No, that's all I need to know. There we go. Strange's like, alright, so now, excuse me, I get ready for Parlay Day, and Clee is like, you know what? I'm gonna sit Parlay Day out. And what's Parlay Day? Well, Parlay Day is who's at the door now. Who's at the door? Well, he's a special guest. You may have heard of him. He's a big deal, all the way from a dimension whose name I do not remember, the Dread Dormammu. And I love Vesper like, Doc! So Parlay Day is when Strange and Dormammu just talk. You know, maybe try to understand each other, try to reach some sort of accord. Like everything, there is to be no fighting, no plots today, all sort of works out. And Strange reveals that, hey, the way for Dormammu to be here is he has to inhabit someone's soul. And it turns out it's the chump we see in the beginning of the comic. So it turns out he's one of the followers of Dormammu as a religion. Like, so in other words, his whole life's been leading up to this. And Strange is like, you people are messed up. You're talking about Dormammu here. Like, look, that dude's been fed a bad lie. You know, he's been raised to think that you're this great savior. And it's not. And it points out that this, like, just possessing him is putting a great strain on his body, on his spirit. Like, he's probably going to die at the end of the story. So they pretty much go through the day. And there's not much going on here in terms of dialogue. Well, at least there's nothing I think gives a really great insight to them, and that, you know, isn't said on the first page of this whole meeting of them going on together. It's really just the two of them going through a day together. Strange is still doing his job as Sorcerer Supreme, and Dormammu's like, yeah, man, you wild. And Strange bringing up all the time, hey, remember the time I beat you in like issue 3 and issue 30 back in the day? Pretty much just go through all the L's Dormammu has taken. And it sort of points at the futility of it. Like, why do you keep doing this? Like, first of all, you know you're going to lose. If not to me, it's going to be one of my team and whatnot. And Dormammu try, like, you know what? Yeah, you defeat me, but guess what? I keep coming back. You can't stop me. Let's talk about, hey, I died, and you couldn't stop me, so what's good? What's good? And like I said, there's not a lot here outside of talking about the fact that, you know, Dormammu has been Strange's greatest enemy. And I think the really great scene is when Dormammu says, oh, why do you choose to hang out in New York? Like, well, it's a nice place. I like it. Tends to need me the most. And, you know, like, you know, look, I'd give you New York to be your own. If you just, like, knelt to me, like, all right, okay. You just pull the Satan versus Jesus on me, okay, all right. No, I'm not interested. Also, my question is, why are there so many superheroes in New York for that crime to be that bad? I mean, think about it. Daredevil, Spider-Man. Spider-Man's in New York. Yeah, Spider-Man's in New York. The Avengers, Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk is there. Luke Cage is there. Iron Fist is there. I think Misty Knight's still there. Avengers Mansion, if I didn't already say that's there. So yeah, it's like weird. Like, Justice League headquarters isn't in Gotham City. Alright, and doesn't have this anywhere near this kind of problem. But anyway. So we talk more about, hey, you know, my defenders have beaten you, I've beaten you, other people have beaten you. It really just makes Dormammu look like a chump. And the story actually ends with him being a bigger chump. So anyway, Jean Grey shows up with a coin. He takes the coin. And yeah, the coin is being used to drag out the guy that Dormammu is possessing. Like, dude, you can get out of here. So the reason Strange bring up all these L's is pretty much like, tell the dude, like, dude, you're following a guy that cannot beat me. Alright? He's not that great. He's a loser. You know? Just fight your way out and take the coin and you'll be fine. And he does. He does. It's kind of sad. Even more so because, as Strange points out, like, look, as long as I have this coin, I am vulnerable. Like, you know, I can't use any magic. So, there we go. So he's putting himself on the line to save this guy. Dormammu would never do that for one of his followers, and that's pretty much what he needs to get out of there. He feels so bad. My life is a lie. Well, how will I get through this? Like, dude, let's get you home to your wife and kid and tell them that your promotion didn't work out. Also, by default, I think his family was also followers of Dormammu, so how are they going to handle this? I don't know. Anyway, the parlay day is over, and it turns out Clea's mother is getting married to Toboro, Sorcerer Supreme of the 6th Dimension, and she's like, oh lord, mom's doing it again, and that's how the comic ends. Ultimately, Doctor Strange issue 3 is, I think, a bigger treat for people who read Doctor Strange all those years ago. And it's not bad because of that, but I think you'd appreciate those moments more if you read them or were there for them. I didn't. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I didn't start reading Doctor Strange until, what was it, All New, All Different Marvel with Jason Aaron's run. I've read some older runs, but not a lot because There's a lot. And I never quite know. Like, the old art for comic books, that doesn't always jive with me, so I don't know. Ultimately, this is fun. Dormammu is sort of playing the role of Satan here, which I think he's a good analog for in some way, especially this whole possession, him offering Strange something that he technically doesn't have, but if Strange knelt to him, if Strange, helped him, it could be his. So it's alright. I think Dormammu is sort of like, hey, you know what, you're going to slip up eventually, and I'm going to win. Like, at the end of the day, Dormammu will win, because Dormammu won't go away. Granted, Strange doesn't seem to go away either. Like, he's been not Sorcerer Supreme, he's given up being Sorcerer Supreme, he's been fired from being Sorcerer Supreme, and he keeps coming back. Hell, this story references the fact that he died in the last story, and he's still back. So it's like, yeah, dude, just, what are you doing? Ultimately, I liked it, but I don't love it. But I am looking forward to issue 4. Like, the reason I like this better than Scarlet Witch's book is because I feel like that story is sort of retracing familiar ground with, Wanda being like, hey, yeah, remember that time I was super powerful, and now I'm just living the life of being my own version of the Sorcerer Supreme. And then we're going to reboot this book again with me doing the same thing. I'm basically the female Doctor Strange. It doesn't, I don't know, it's just not that interesting. I felt the earlier run that she did was more interesting than her current run. At least the art was better. And finally we have Batman issue 136. So this one was actually pretty good. So, if you recall, after the events of Batman trudging throughout the multiverse, elsewhere being trapped in another Earth, beating up different versions of the Joker and whatnot, he is now back, and he's getting himself checked out by Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific says, like, there's a lot of, like, dimensional energy that went into you. Like, you sure you're alright? He's healed pretty fast, but Batman seems to think there's something else going on, and Mr. Terrific brings up his hand, and Batman says, I really appreciate if you didn't tell anybody about the hand. And Terrific's like, yeah, cool, man, I'm just happy to be in another book. So, then we see Batman sort of trying to, get back into the vibe of everything. One thing he points out is he's not really alright. But that doesn't matter. Batman's fine. Bruce Wayne isn't. Bruce doesn't get to compromise on that, alright? If he has to be Batman, Batman has to be fine. Batman cannot be weak. Bruce can be weak all he wants on his own time. But when that cow's on, it's Batman time. And there's a really interesting moment when Bruce connects with the Batman of Zur-En-Argh. I have probably pronounced that wrong so many times, but I like the Argh. But anyway, so he talks to him, and he tells him, hey, why he did what he did, and, locking him away. Zur-En-Argh sort of implies that Batman could destroy him, but he says, like, hey, you could destroy me, but you didn't, so either you're worried it might do something to your brain, or you need me. Remember, the whole context of Zur-En-Argh as a figure for Bruce is that he's an alternate personality that in the event that Bruce Wayne, or in this case Batman as we know him, is compromised under some sort of mental assault, this persona takes over. But if it's become this big a problem, then Bruce should get rid of him. But as he points out, you need me for something. Something else is coming, and you know you can't handle it. And as he points out, Batman can never be weak. And I think that is sort of sells the idea of how much pressure Bruce puts on himself, and how much emphasis he puts on how important Batman is. At least to him. And there are certain things he can do that even Superman and Wonder Woman and other ones can't or won't do. So, yeah, I think it's sort of brings up the fact it's how stressful and how big the mantle of Batman has become on even a meta level. But anyway, so, Bruce gets an alert about the Penguin's kids, so he goes down to rough them up because they're expanding the Iceberg Lounge to beyond even what it was under Penguin himself. So yeah, he goes through. He brings back the Batman Year One story, setting out the bombs, roughing people up. It's a great scene. It turns out one of Oswald's kids has like super strength. So I was like, all right, I can rough this kid up. There we go. He's like, look, that was your message. Shut it down. I gotta go. And Batman and Oracle sort of talk about what's going on, how he's doing, and as well as what's been going on with Catwoman. Because apparently in Catwoman's book, which I've been reading as a trade, so I've missed some stuff, she's been arrested, and she broke out of jail, And she took a bunch of inmates with her. A bunch of other inmates escaped with her, and so no one's seen hide nor hair of her. And Orcus is like, she's probably gone. She's probably like, we'll probably never find her. Batman's like, sure, okay, so I gotta go. And lo and behold, he finds her. But also, Oracle notes that Batman has turned off the vital readings on a student. In other words, Oracle can't check how he's doing physically. So he finds Selina in the East End of Gotham City, and she's getting like, what is it, a fish bagel? Because she's a cat, I guess. And he's like, we need to talk. And so he points out that, hey, so why did you break out of jail? And she's like, well, I had to do it my way. And like, wait. So he did not doubt for a second that she was innocent. Like, I know you were innocent. We could have gotten you out on just like the easy squeeze lemon peasy. All right, she's like, I didn't need your help, Batman. Like, no. You see, you're. So these two are supposed to be married. All right, and ever since like halfway through Tinian's run, these two have not been married. They just haven't. They don't act like it. They don't confide in each other. They've just got all these other secrets. They just don't want to be together. And in reality, like, this story starts off with Bruce calling Selina. He just wants to talk to his girl. And, it turns out she's sleeping with some dude. And she's like, look, Bruce, he's like, look, it's fine, Selina. In other words, Bruce like, look, there was a totally easy way for you to get out of jail. No problem. Instead, you broke out, a whole bunch of other inmates escaped too. And then she's like, hey, look, I just wanted like a fresh start and whatnot. This is her defending why she didn't tell Bruce or anyone that, hey, I'm fine. And she was like, oh yeah, because Penguin deserved it too. I'm like, what? He's like, what? Remember that as far as Batman knew, Oswald Cobblepot died. All right, and Bruce took the fall for that. Batman took the fall. Everyone thinks Batman killed Penguin. All right, Selina knows that Oswald is alive. He's hiding out, starting a new life at a bakery. All right, nothing shady going on from there. And he's like, why didn't you tell me? Like, why didn't you tell me that he was alive? He knows that there's a better way to do this, all right? And he's like, I can't. This whole issue that these two do not trust each other. And he even points out, like, hey, look, I met another Catwoman on another Earth, and she also betrayed me too. He's like, look, I'm not that Catwoman, all right? What about the whole thing about Failsafe and the secrets you keep? Like, look, I didn't make Failsafe. That was a secret persona in my mind. And just sort of these two realizing that there are too many secrets between them, secrets they don't even know they're keeping from each other. And ultimately, all this proves is that Batman and Catwoman's relationship is terrible. Not in general. It can work. But DC had no real interest in this. Actually, if you go back and even look at Tom King's run on Batman, his relationship with Catwoman just isn't that interesting. Like, it starts off on an emotional level. I think it's great. But the problem is, at the end of the day, these two just are too damaged and too ingrained in being themselves to work out. Like, they want to, but they just can't. So anyway, before Bruce can go after her and like probably talk this out, he gets an alert that someone's in the manor, which he doesn't own anymore. So he goes in, just figures out who's going in there. He checks it. Anyone into the Batcave? All right, no one's in the Batcave. So in the manor proper, and it turns out it's the Bat Kids. All right, they're there. Even Duke has been invited. The reason I say even Duke is because I don't think DC has a clear plan for Duke Thomas. Scott Snyder just kind of made him, dropped him off, and writers have been free to put him in Batman and the Outsiders, and sometimes Detective Comics. So anyway, they're making breakfast for Bruce, like trying to get things all together. I like that. I do. Especially because Bruce just seems really set on trying to enjoy this as he can, because as he points out, something is coming, and he wants to enjoy these moments while he can before it all goes up in flames. And that's how the comic ends. Ultimately, Batman issue 136 I felt was fun. I think it was nice to see Bruce in this state. The sort of the dichotomy and relationship of Bruce and Batman I think is always interesting, because the real question is, who's the real persona? A lot of people say it's Batman. I don't think that's true. The real persona is Bruce Wayne. What is Batman but everything Bruce wants Batman to be? All right, this is your real face only applies if you view Bruce Wayne as this, irresponsible playboy, when he's not that. All right. The best thing about Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, to me, was the fact that we had Bruce Wayne, the playboy, Batman, and in between was the guy who's trying to do the best for Gotham City as both Batman and as a rich dude. it works out that way. He's trying to effect both change on both levels. He's trying to be super hard on criminals and go super hard on infrastructure. You know, like, hey, let's fight poverty. Let's make it so people have, health care. Let's make it so more jobs are available. Attacking the crime issue on both points. It works. There we go. The whole Catwoman thing, the whole rant I did about it, it's like, this isn't a Superman and Lois Lane thing. This is more like a worse version of Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris. This is a worse version of Guy Gardner and Ice. This is a worse version of Kyle Rayner and Insert Girlfriend Here. This is a worse version of, hang on, I know I got one more. Catwoman and Zatanna. Not Catwoman, Constantine and Zatanna. Catwoman and Zatanna sounds awesome. This is a worse version, a really worse version of Nightwing and Batgirl. This is a worse version of... That might be it. If you think of anything... Actually, this is the other side of Bruce and Talia. This really is. Like, these women who have, like, all this other baggage to them. Because of who they've become. Like, Selina has no father. Like, she has a dad, they don't talk, they don't like each other. Talia has a dad in her life. They don't talk, they don't like each other. There's a bare modicum of respect. And these two are so messed up because of their dads. But at the same time, they're great because of the childhood they had. Like, everything you like about Selina is because of the life she's had to live. Same thing with Talia, the life she's had to live. They're great characters, but I don't think they make a good fit for Batman. All right, because they both want different sides of him. Selina, I think, at the end of the day, wants Bruce. Talia wants Batman. They don't really try to find that middle, that, hey, the two are inseparable. Because Talia wants this idea of Batman that will kill. That's antithetical to Bruce. Selina wants, a Bruce Wayne that doesn't keep all these secrets. That's antithetical to Batman. Really, the best choices for Batman, for Bruce at this point, seem to be Zatanna. Yeah, it's fun ship. I like it. Young Justice fans, I'm sorry. That whole Dick Grayson Zatanna thing is still kind of gross. The Wonder Bat, Batman and Wonder Woman, it's great. Gets better every time. And my new one, because of JL8, Batman and Power Girl. Because, yeah, do it. Ultimately, I am interested in what's coming next. In the last issue, we saw the idea that Zara-Nar had apparently infected, or at least, gone into every other Batman across the multiverse. So that'd be interesting if that comes into play later. And we have like a Day of the Doctor thing, like 12 Batman? No, sir, all 13. I don't know. That'd be cool. But whatever this threat is, it's scaring. It's concerning Bruce. And I do like this line that shows up pretty much throughout the entire book. Bruce is weak. Batman can't be weak. Like I've said before, no one holds Batman to a higher standard than Bruce Wayne. Alright? So it's interesting to see where this is going to go. I think this will be better. I think this story, I just got a feeling this story is going to be better than the last one, because we are sort of delving more into a personal story. The other one did too, but I think it was a bit too convoluted in some place. Like, I like the Failsafe story more than I like the Other Earth story. Other way, who knows? So anyway, with that in mind, if you're new to the Bucket Think Tank, for like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, and I'll catch you all later. This is Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.